Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Annie Miraj Kidwai, and thank you so very much for tuning to Vertex, the solution of every need. To know more about me, check vertexthesolution.com. As I was sharing video about perspective, I'm going to share a story or narrate a story of perspective on law, criminality, social justice, and justice. I want you to share your perspective as well. And your perspective is more than welcome. I'm going to share and narrate a story of a dacoit, a bandit, a criminal, and member of parliament who had a political career. I'm going to share a story about Phulan Devi. Phulan Devi's life is a stark testament to the complexities of oppression, resistance, and redemption. Her story is not just a chronicle of crime and punishment, but a powerful narrative that challenges us to confront the deep-seated injustices that drive individuals to extremes. She was born into a marginalized Mala caste family in rural Uttar Pradesh. Phulan Devi's early years were a struggle against poverty and systemic discrimination. As a young girl, she was subjected to an abusive marriage to a much older man who sexually exploited her, a common fate for many women of her background. Her plight was emblematic of the broader systemic issues facing women from lower castes, issues that stifle their potential and dignity. In a society where caste and gender dictated one's destiny, Phulan's life seemed predetermined to be one of suffering and silence. Yet her struggle for autonomy and justice began when she fled her abusive husband, only to find herself thrust into a world of crime. This transition was not a mere shift, but a desperate bid for control in a world that had stripped her of agency. Phulan Devi's entry into banditry was both an act of survival and a form of resistance. Her journey from victim to bandit leader reflected a raw, unfiltered fight against the oppressive structures that had marginalized her. As she took up arms, she symbolized the rage of countless individuals crushed by social and economic injustices. The Bhimai massacre of 1981, where her gang targeted a village in retaliation for the gang rape she had suffered, became a defining moment in her life. It was an act driven by deep personal trauma and a broader critique of systemic oppression. This massacre was not just about revenge. It was a violent outcry against a system that had repeatedly failed to protect the vulnerable. Phulan Devi's surrender in 1983 and subsequent imprisonment highlighted the struggles of India's criminal justice system. Her trials were not just legal battles, but also social reckonings. The legal proceedings brought to light the difficulties of administering justice in a deeply hierarchical society. How does one measure justice when the scales are perpetually tipped by caste and power? The high-profile nature of her cases reflected the tension between the law and the lived realities of the marginalized. Phulan's story forced the nation to grapple with uncomfortable questions about retribution, justice, and the impact of systemic failure on individuals. Upon her release from prison, Phulan Devi's shift to politics was nothing short of dramatic. Elected as a member of parliament in 1996, she became a symbol of potential redemption and change. Her political career was marked by advocacy for the very communities she once fought against, emphasizing issues of social justice and the empowerment of women. Her transition from bandit queen to political leader illustrated the possibility of transformation even for those who have walked the darkest paths. It suggested that redemption is possible, but only when systemic injustices are addressed and corrected. My question to you: what are the learnings from the story? What are the learning of various perspectives around the story? from legal frameworks to societal changes to even intellectual control and questioning, how the law and criminality and social justice should be viewed. Your perspective matters. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this story. Have a great day.